My bookstore had a cybersecurity incident that led to a book sale. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now for today's video, I thought I would do a book haul. Now I haven't done a book haul in quite some time now, but that doesn't mean that I have stopped buying books. I have bought so many books, but I'm just so excited about all the books that I recently picked up during Chapters Indigo sale. So if you're Canadian, you'll probably know that Chapters Indigo is a major bookstore here in Canada that recently went through some tough times. So as predicted by myself, I knew that they were going to have to try to meet their quarterly profit goals. And one way of doing that is to entice people to come back online, to go shopping, and to also go back in stores, to go shopping through a sale. So I took advantage of the sale to go pick up a lot of books that I've always wanted to read and always wanted to try out. And it was kind of like a save 25% off event. And I ended up saving 25% off of all these cover prices. And I'm so excited to show you guys because these books are amazing. Okay, so during the sale, I went on a indie romance book hunt. A lot of the times, Chapters Indigos do not sell a lot of indie romances, and indie romances are only available to us through Amazon, which can get quite expensive. But Chapters Indigo is starting to get with the trend and to start listing out some more indie romances, and I was able to snag some of these up at heavily discounted prices, definitely cheaper than a lot of Amazon prices. And I picked up one of my favorite books that I did read on vacation last year, which is called Baggage Claim by Juliana Smith. This one had a heroine who was a little bit heavier when she was growing up. She had a lot of body self-image issues, and then she lost a lot of weight. She beautified herself. She grew some more self-confidence, but she is still dealing with body image issues, still in her like late and mid 20s, and she ends up fake dating the person sitting next to her on the plane. They come up with an agreement to be each other's like fake significant others for the holiday vacation. It was so sweet, so endearing, so heartwarming, and if you love a golden retriever hero, then you're definitely gonna love this one. I highly recommend you to pick this one up, even though it's not the holiday season anymore. All right, so the next book that I have here is definitely a chunker. It's really big, it's floppy, which is something that I really do appreciate when it's like a big fantasy romance novel like this. It's called Anastasia, and it's by Sophie Lark. Now, I've read some of Sophie Lark's books. I would say I generally do like her books. Like, they're always like a 3 out of 5 stars for me. They are brain candy books. I think that's what Sophie Lark writes. They are books that have really eccentric characters, really eccentric plots that are crazy, adventurous, and just like action-packed and filled with a lot of drama. The next book that I have here is this one called The Great Undoing Daisy Hates, written by Jessa Hastings. And I don't know what book is this. I think this might be book number 4 in the series. I honestly never read anything by Jessa Hastings before. I just saw like the first book, Magnolia Parks, blow up on Bookstagram, and I was like, what is this beautiful book that I have never seen before, never heard of before? And I collected it. A lot of my friends have read it, and they warned me and told me that it was super angsty, super dramatic. Hopefully I really do like it, because I don't really like super angsty novels. So the next book that I have here is this one called Finding Jean Kelly by Tori Jean. Now, the ironic part and the most frustrating part, I guess, is that I kept seeing this book all over my Instagram feed, mostly because I do follow the author, Tori Jean, and she does a great job promoting her title. Every day she just posts a picture of this book. Anyways, what's super frustrating is that after I placed order on this book, they had a cover update. Like, the author changed the whole cover, and it's debatable whether or not I like this cover better than the new cover, but it's also frustrating because I would rather have like kind of a choice, and now I'm kind of stuck with like the old cover. I feel like the old cover is still gorgeous, and I think it'll still show up really nicely on my Instagram page where I do showcase a lot of my books. So definitely follow my Instagram if you haven't already. Link is always in bio. Also, with that being said, if you guys want to follow up to date on what I'm reading, check out my Goodreads too as well. But back to this book. This book is about our heroine who is really tired of her life, and she somehow meets her childhood best friend and high school rival again. And I think there's like a fake dating trope in this, because like she is going to go to her brother's wedding, and then she needs the help of our hero, who was her high school rival. Okay, so the next book that I did buy is this one from Kimberly Lemon. This one's called The Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. It is a monster romance. It is quite thin. It is a very big book. And I read this one. I enjoyed it. I really like Kimberly's writing. I feel like it's very smooth. It's very very intoxicating. It's something that you can just dive into and you just keep reading and then you forget that you're reading a book. But also at the same time, she takes her time with developing the setting, the emotions between the two characters, our characters themselves, and also the romance. So just because it's a short book, you can't expect like a very insta-love romance. It's more so spending more time with the characters themselves and the characters that they interact with. And I really enjoyed the second book in the series, and so I bought that book off Amazon, and then I was saying to myself, okay, if I'm gonna buy the second book, I might as well buy the first book so I could have it, you know, the whole series on my shelf. And plus this was part of the Chapters Indigo sale, so I got this for pretty cheap too as well. I think I got this probably for like $10. I was super excited to see that Kennedy Ryan had books available on Chapters Indigo. This is the famous series that everybody talks about, that everybody really enjoys, that everybody says it's like super angsty, it's gonna make you cry, it's gonna make you really upset, it's gonna like make you like just rip you up and swallow you whole kind of thing, but in the best possible way. So they can be read as separate standalones, I think, and they're all part of like the same world. So I think the first book is called Long Shot, and this was the book that kind of really scared me because it dealt with some trigger warnings that I don't really like, that makes it like super heavy and that makes me super like kind of like uncomfortable sometimes. But I did buy it, and I don't know all the trigger warnings, that's why I'm not telling you guys, but make sure to do your research before you do read Long Shot. And then I think the second book might be Hook Shot. I don't know what Hook Shot is about, but the cover is so stinking gorgeous. I really like these covers more than the illustrative covers, but damn, he looks good. And then I think the last book is called Block Shot. Okay, so speaking of more Kennedy Ryan, I literally just did this whole book haul on Kennedy Ryan books because, you know, her books are expensive on Amazon, so I was really excited to pick up this gorgeous book called The Kingmaker, and then also The Rebel King. I was always intrigued by the series. I don't know anything about the series. I think the series deals with like super rich people, and I love reading stories about super rich people, so I could live vicariously through the books. All right, so the next two books are the last two books that I bought from the sale. I actually bought like a lot of pre-orders that haven't come in yet because they're not published yet. But the last two books that finally came in are these ones. Now, these are fantasy romance novels. This one is called Tricky Magic. It's book number 1 in the Tricky Magic series by L.L. Campbell. And then the second book in the series is called Tricky Princess. I don't really read fantasy romance, but if I were to collect fantasy romance, or if I were to read fantasy romance, you could bet your pretty dollar that I would be buying books that are pretty. I started reading chapter 1 of the book. It was hot. It was spicy. I think like if you guys like spicy fantasy romance, definitely keep this on your radar and read it on Kindle Unlimited if it's available, or buy the paperback copy. But I did pick up a lot of indie romances on Amazon too as well that weren't available on Chapters Indigo, so I decided to pick up this one called In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. And Kate Canterbury is not a debut author. I've just only seen her rise to fame recently with In a Jam, and this is a book that I've seen all over Instagram, and I was always curious about the book because I saw it rise the charts on Kindle Unlimited, and I was always intrigued by it, and I started listening to the audiobook, and I immediately fell in love with it. This one is like a slow burn romance between our heroine and her childhood best friend. The next book is a book that I've talked a lot about already in my recent videos. It's called My Dark Romeo by Parker S. Huntington and LJ Shen. This one is an arranged marriage of convenience, enemies to lovers romance. I freaking loved it. I loved it so much, and I'm so happy that I got this cover because I feel like the artwork and like the things inside are just so beautiful. Like, I love this special edition set. And then the next book that I have is this one called Heartless by Elsie Silver. I finally read Heartless. I finally read Elsie Silver. I feel like everybody on BookTube and the whole wide world read Elsie Silver. And here I am, taking 7 years to do it because I'm a hipster and I take so long to read the popular books. But Heartless was one of my favorites out of the Chestnut Spring series. I haven't read Powerless yet, so I can't say if this is my favorite, but this was my favorite enough to buy the physical copy of. And then other books I collected were books I have actually read, and then I was like, okay, I need to own it on my shelf. Picked up this one that is from eons ago. I feel like this one was published in 2019, so a lot of people have already read it, and a lot of people don't have this cover. A lot of people have like the discreet illustrative cover, but I love this cover. I love this model. I feel like this model looks like Jamie Dornan, so like I love it. It's called Marriage for One from Ella Macy. It's a book that everybody has read already. I read it recently. I really enjoyed it. It's a slow burn romance. It's a marriage of convenience trope once again. It's grumpy sunshine, and it's kind of like two POVs too as well. So you get to see our hero's POV, and I love the hero. I feel like Jack is so sweet, and our heroine is like the spunky female character that always gets herself in trouble. And then moving on to stuff that's kind of not always my thing, but this is a dark romance called Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. I bought this book because it was on sale for like a little bit off Amazon. I think I got to save like $4, and I was listening to the audiobook and I was convincing myself that I would love it so much that I would need the physical copy on my shelf. And I was only convincing myself a lot because I saw reviews from my trusted friends who read it and they really loved it so much. And everybody on Instagram is kind of like starting to read the series now. Again, it's really popular anyways. But overall, I liked it, but it wasn't like my favorite. I think I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's a romantic suspense novel. It kind of had paranormal elements to it, kind of. And it was told between past and present, but the past is focusing on characters who've already died, and it's just like a past story of these people that used to live in the same house as our heroine. So I really like Parker S. Huntington. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you guys would know that I've been posting a lot of pictures of her books. This one's called Devious Lies. I gobbled this book up. This book is huge. It's thick. It's heavy. My arm is getting tired as I'm holding it. But this one is a forbidden love. This one is about our heroine falling in love with her best friend's older brother, her falling in love with the wrong brother, and her falling in love with an enemy. Or like, so our hero hates her family, and then our hero is falling in love with someone that he shouldn't fall in love with because his like mindset and his heart is dedicated to ruining her family's life and her life as well. All right, the next book that I picked up is a sci-fi fantasy romance novel from Ruby Dixon. Now, I don't really read that many alien romances anymore. I read a couple, I enjoyed them, but it's not something that I gravitate towards too. But the reason why I bought this book was because I was on Instagram one day and then Christy's like post came up and I saw that they had a step back and it was this pretty and I was like, okay, add to cart, buy now, delivery tomorrow, please give it to me. And then the next book that I picked up is this one, which I talked about earlier, The Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf by Kimberly Lemon. I really like this one. This one's like a slow burn romance where our hero did a lot of like the yearning, the pining, the convincing on his part to make her believe that he is actually truly in love with her and it's not because of a love potion. I really enjoyed this one and I think you guys should pick it up if you guys are looking for kind of like a monster paranormal fantasy romance, but more so on the contemporary side. And then the last book that I picked up is this one called Into Deep by Julia Olivia, and I love Julia Olivia's writing. I've read her Honey World series or something, like it's about an amusement park, but I'm excited to read more from Julia Olivia. This one was only $13 on Amazon and it was one of those moments where I just said treat yourself and treat yourself, so I just picked it up. This one involves a designer who is falling in love with her manager who is grumpy and he has a dog. So I think if you guys are dog lovers and you guys want to read a cute, fluffy contemporary romance, this is the book for you. But anyways, that is it for all the recent books that I did buy from Chapters Indigo and also from Amazon. Thank you so much for watching my video and check out my other videos that I have posted recently. And I'll see you guys again next time in a new one. Bye.